Hello, my friends. Welcome back to our little corner of stories. This is my own take on these characters and what might happen next, based on the heart of what we've seen. So settle in with me, won't you? You know what's beautiful about love? It waits. It can sit silent for 20 long years and still come knocking, soft as morning light. And that's exactly the story we're stepping into today. Let me set the scene for you. There's a woman named Diep. She's a mother herself now, raising sweet little Nye, building a quiet life with her husband James. She sings lullabies. She sets the table. She holds her family together with both hands, even when money runs short and worry sits heavy at the door. But there's someone watching her from a distance. An older woman. A woman who carries a gift in her hands and a secret in her heart. A woman who, 20 years ago, walked away from a little girl barely a meter tall. That little girl was Diep. What I love about Diep is her quiet strength. She never raises her voice. She never asks for pity. She just keeps loving the people in front of her, one warm cup of coffee, one soft song at a time. That's the kind of woman who could forgive anything. That's the kind of heart that makes a reunion possible. So let me tell you what happens. The mother comes to the house. James is home, and the two of them sit together. There's tension at first, the kind you feel between two people who once spoke harsh words. But something has softened. The mother apologizes. She admits she lost control that day. And James, gentle as ever, says it's all right. He apologizes too. Picture this. Two people who could have stayed enemies, choosing instead to lay down their pride. The mother sets a small wrapped gift on the table. "I have something for Diep," she says. Her hands are trembling. And James notices. He always notices. Because here's the thing James understands. This isn't just an old woman with a present. This is someone who has been carrying a mountain for 2 decades, and the mountain is finally too heavy to hold alone. But here's what nobody saw coming. James doesn't push her away. Instead, he leans in. He asks the question that's been hanging in the air. When will you tell Diep the truth? And the mother breaks. Just a little. "I don't know where to start," she whispers. "I'm afraid Diep will be shocked. I don't even know if I still have the right to call myself her mother." That's not nothing. That's everything. Let me ask you something. Have you ever wanted to say something so badly, but fear stitched your lips shut? That's where this mother lives. Every night for 20 years, she's closed her eyes and seen the same thing. A little girl, small and worried, calling out, "Mum, where are you?" James listens, and then he says something that changes the whole shape of this story. He tells her, gently but firmly, "You should tell her soon. Don't just act friendly. If you do, the disappointment will only hurt her more. Tell her the truth, from the heart. You see what's happening here? This isn't drama for drama's sake. This is a man helping a frightened woman find her courage. This is a family, broken long ago, beginning to knit itself back together, one honest word at a time." The mother nods slowly. "Let me gather my courage," she says. And in that small sentence, you can feel the door beginning to open. But that's just the beginning, because gathering courage is one thing. Standing face to face with the daughter you left behind, that's a mountain all its own. And Diep is on her way home. Last we left off with a frightened mother sitting in Diep's home, finally finding the courage to tell the truth, with James gently steadying her hand. Now let's see what that courage actually costs. The two of them keep talking, mother and James, in the quiet of that little house. And what comes out is tender and aching all at once. James asks her, "Suppose you and Diep reunite. What then? What's your plan?" And the mother's answer? It melts you. I will make up for it, she says, with love, with everything a mother is supposed to give. She doesn't want money back. She doesn't want anything for herself. She only wants Diep to be happy, to live, as she puts it, a second life. She has dreams, this woman. She talks about taking Diep to Hanoi, giving her a brighter future, a longer road ahead. Diep is still so young, she says. Her whole life is in front of her. Here's what touches me about this moment. After 20 years of silence, her very first thought isn't about being forgiven. It's about what she can give. That's not the talk of a woman making excuses. That's the talk of a mother who never stopped being one, even from far away. But James, wise as always, offers her something better than agreement. He offers her honesty. You need to ask Diep what she wants, he tells her. I can't promise she'll accept you. You did leave her, but I want this reunion as much as you do. And then he says the words that are the beating heart of this whole story. You don't need to prove you gave birth to her. You need to prove what motherly love actually means. Let Diep feel it. A real mother's love comes from the heart, not from a single sentence. Let that sit with you for a moment. Because the mother understands. Tears fill her eyes. For 20 years, she says softly, I haven't slept a single night in peace. Every time I close my eyes, I see her, my little daughter, so small, her face full of worry, calling for me. And then something beautiful happened. The fear that had frozen her for 2 decades began, finally, to thaw, like water when a dam gives way. You could see it in her face, the shift from terror to resolve. She wasn't running anymore. She picks up the small gift again, holding it like it's made of glass. This isn't just a present. It's 20 years of love she never got to give, wrapped up in paper, waiting for a daughter who doesn't yet know the truth. You know what that means? It means the hardest part is still coming. Because soon, very soon, Diep will walk through that door. She'll see her husband. She'll see this older woman she barely knows. And she'll have no idea that her whole world is about to grow larger and warmer than she ever imagined. The mother takes a deep breath. James gives her a small, encouraging nod. The house is quiet, except for the sound of a heart getting ready to be brave. And outside, footsteps. Light ones, familiar ones. Diep is almost home. The tension in that little house is gentle, but real. The mother sits with her gift in her lap. James stays close, a steady presence, and every passing second feels heavier with hope. You can feel it building, can't you? 20 years narrowing down to a single moment, a single doorway, a single word that hasn't been spoken yet. The mother rehearses it in her mind. How do you tell a grown woman that you're the one who sang to her before the song stopped? How do you say, I'm your mother, to someone who learned to live without one? She doesn't have the perfect words. Nobody ever does. But she has something better now. She has the willingness to try. And here's the moment that matters most. Diep comes home. She steps inside, perhaps with little Nee's laughter still echoing from the day. She sees the older woman. She pauses, polite, a little puzzled, and the mother looks up at her. This daughter all grown, this woman who turned her hardship into tenderness, and her whole heart rises into her throat. She doesn't blurt it out. James was right about that. Instead, she does the wiser thing. She reaches out, simply, warmly. She offers the gift. She offers a smile that carries 2 decades of longing behind it. She lets Diep feel, even before any truth is spoken, that she is loved. Because that's what James taught her. Don't lead with the words, I gave birth to you. Lead with the love. Let her feel it first. And Diep, with that big, quiet heart of hers, senses something. She can't name it yet. But she feels the warmth in the room, the strange tenderness in this older woman's eyes. She accepts the gift. She offers a cup of tea, the way she always does. Kindness meeting. Kindness across 20 years of distance. A part of the wall comes down. Not all of it. The truth still waits, unspoken, just beneath the surface. But the door is opened. The two women are in the same room, sharing the same small kindnesses, and that is so much more than they had yesterday. This is the part that gives me hope. Because reunions don't always happen with thunder and tears. Sometimes they begin with a cup of tea, a wrapped gift, and two people simply choosing to be gentle with each other. Love rebuilds itself in small moments like these. So the mother sits in Diep's home, surrounded by the life her daughter built without her. And for the first time in 20 years, she isn't watching from a distance. She's inside. She's near. She's close enough to reach out and touch the future she gave up so long ago. The truth hasn't been spoken yet. Diep doesn't know, not fully, who this woman really is. But the heart often knows before the mind catches up. And something in Diep's chest is already softening, already wondering, already opening that one extra inch that makes everything possible. But the most beautiful moment is still ahead. Because when the truth finally comes, when "I'm your mother" finally leaves those trembling lips, the way Diep responds will warm your heart in a way you won't see coming.